This is part of why I love living in the South. Like, there's something about abundance not being excess. Like, abundance is like, I am full. It is enough.
Welcome to Hey Awesome Girl with Tivi Jones. Every week we interview amazing boss babes in tech, medicine, law, entrepreneurship, entertainment, parenting, and more. About their lives, their goals, their why, in order to discover how every day they're working to add more pleasure, ease, and abundance in their orbit. Ooh, hold up. We gotta unpack that. This show is part business advice, part life coaching, part real talk with girlfriends. See how she be coaching me? If you're looking for a show that's real and relatable, but also inspiring at the same time, this is the one for you. I'm your host, Tivi Jones. I'm founder and CEO of the creative agency Hey Awesome Girl. I'm dog mom to Olivia, the cutest little dog on the planet, and I am someone who was once cast in the play Charlotte's Web as a kid. I sound really proud of that fact, but I literally only had one line. I am not an actress, clearly. But in this episode, you'll meet Monét Noelle Marshall, who is an actress and a creator and an artist of all sorts. And we're really digging into all things art and business, including how someone else's no is not your no, how you need to get rid of your shoulds, and we discover what it really means to be free in the business and life sense. It's a very inspiring and powerful episode, and so I hope you'll enjoy it. Ready to get started? Let's go! Hi, Monét. Welcome to the show.
Tivi, how are you?
I am doing all right. How you doing in these COVID streets?
Oh my God, over it. I'm over it.
Over it.
But I'm here. Good God, I'm here. So I can't complain too much.
It's really something. Like, I work, so obviously one of the big projects that we work on is COVID mitigation in Black and Brown communities. And as I always say to my clients, like, Black people, we've been in a pandemic our whole lives. So
the whole
we
time.
over it.
Born over it.
I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing.
I'm laughing because it hurts.
Right. Woo. But other than, as Black folks say, everything is going on, what else is going on?
Ooh, art making, always. Heart tending.
Ooh.
Home curating. Oh, I love, yeah. And just really trying to be a good ass friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love
too. Right? Come on.
Come on. Already preaching. You ain't even introduced yourself to the folks who don't know who you are. They already like, oh, this gonna be a good one. She about to lay into Tivi, okay?
I can't help it. That's who I am.
For folks who don't know, please introduce yourself.
Okay. How do I want to introduce myself today? My name is Monét Noelle Marshall. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I work and live and love and play in Durham, North Carolina, the home of the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation and the Eno and the Tuscarora people. Also, I am at least sixth generation North Carolinian on both my maternal and paternal line. So even though I grew up on Long Island, the soul, the little egg that will become me has known North Carolina longer than it's known a lot of places. So this is home in a really deep way. I am an artist through and through. It's just the way that my brain works in story, and in connection and in loving people. And I express that through my art. Mainly performing arts. I am the founding artistic director of a Black theater company that's called MOJOAA, Performing Arts Company. And I also am a performer and playwright and screenwriter and actor and producer, part-time puppeteer, uh, and choreographer and dancer. And um, yeah, and I'm Robin and Brian's daughter.
Mm.
And that's how I want to introduce myself today. And I'm someone who's falling in love with the land and trying to figure out how to love it better. Yeah.
I came in with a whole thing like, are we gonna talk about Monet's art and her entrepreneurship at the intersection? But you got me on that land comment because, as you know, I've recently bought land last year, 8 acres, which means I like to think I say I own land, but I really am a steward over land that does not belong to me and
Right.
that was once worked by my ancestors. And so, how do I be a good steward over land that is not actually mine? Talk to me about your journey of loving the land.
Yeah, to be, in a similar way. So I live on land that was probably part of Stagville Plantation, which, for those that don't know, is the largest plantation in the state of North Carolina. At emancipation, there were over 1,000 people enslaved on Stagville, at Stagville, and those folks went off to create the communities that we understand to be Durham. Like they started Durham for real, and Chapel Hill, and all went off to Raleigh. It was so many of them. They've just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina just would not look the way it looks if not for the ingenuity and brilliance of those people. So I bought a house this summer and it's on half an acre. I love my little house. Did you not know this?
I don't think I knew this. Okay, for our dinner next week, I'm going to your house.
Please come to my house, please.
I'm serious.
No, I'm so serious. I make a really good hot chocolate with Kahlua. And
Say less.
The secret is cinnamon, y'all. Just put a little cinnamon on top at the end. Yeah, and there's a creek that runs behind my house, and I just often wonder, like, why is this creek dry? How long has this creek been dry? I live just a few minutes from the Eno, and
That sounds like a poem. Why is this creek dry?
Yeah, I mean, so I just like, how do I love? I want to love this land. Like the other night, I couldn't sleep. I look out the window, and there were deer eating outside my window. It's just like there are just entire ecosystems and creatures and more than human kin who are out here living their lives and flying around and making whole juicy delicious worlds, and I want to be part of that and not disruptive of that.
Yes.
So yeah.
That is so beautiful. When we finish recording, we definitely gonna revisit me coming to your house because I ain't been to the crib. I mean, we've been in a pandemic, but I ain't been to the crib yet. I definitely should. But I do. That does relate to what I envisioned as our conversation today, like the intersection of being an artist and being an entrepreneurship. Like, I consider myself an artist in so many ways, and I know growing up thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot. I appreciate that. But this narrative of a starving artist, like, first of all, I just want to say it's a fallacy. Like, it is destructive. And you just bought a house. You're a true artist. You create art in all the ways. And so talk to me about being an artist and living in a state of abundance and whatever that means for you.
That's such a good question. So first of all, abundance is kind of like the word of my life. I feel like every year I'm like, the word of the year is abundance. The word of the year is aplenty, which just means abundance. Like it's just, I really do think this is part of why I love living in the South. Like there's something about abundance not being excess. Like abundance is like, I am full. It is enough, and I think for me, abundance is really the place where I am creating at the capacity that allows me to be the most human, while also being inside of my own values and living a life that just feels juicy to me. And I think part of it is giving myself permission for the definition of that to constantly evolve, right? So what's abundant for me right now may not be abundant for me next year or in 3 years or in 5 years. It may not be abundant for me when I, like, this home may not be large enough for me when I decide to have children or, whatever. But for right now, it is abundant. It is just enough for what I need.
Yeah.
And I think as an artist, giving myself permission to say I'm abundant right now, and this definition gets to grow with me, like I get to dream it forward, allows me to be in an adaptive and creative space around what that means.
I mean, it makes me think, one of the things that I've been coming to terms with as it relates to abundance is sometimes abundance for me is I got enough money to make payroll. Like, that's abundance. Sometimes abundance for me is I have enough spaciousness to do the work that I want to do. And when you're talking about like that, the idea of abundance changing, it is you live in a state of abundance when you have enough spaciousness to change your mind, when you have enough spaciousness to change how you feel about something or how you approach something. That is a form of abundance. It's not all the bag, as folks say.
Come on, you're abundant when you can afford to say no.
Okay. And you know who can afford to say no? Everyone. Like, we all live in a state of abundance is a choice.
Right.
Like, we may not have every single thing that could mean abundance, whether it be the amount of zeros, decimal points or whatever in your bank account, or the amount of grass blades in your yard. Like, I'm trying to equate, as it relates to money, I try to equate money a lot of times with air, with grass, because it's just a resource. And so when we approach abundance in a different way, that then allows more spaciousness from a revenue perspective, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's so real.
Let's talk about revenue abundance, business abundance a little bit more. I want to dig into that because you and I have had conversations about business a lot. One thing I did have on my list to talk to you about is dreaming up new business models. First of all, I love that you as an artist, like the way that it is even worded, dreaming up new business models. Because sometimes we take this like very like sterile, masculine, like hard approach to business models. But what if it were more nurturing? What if it were more allowing, dreaming up new business models? Like, talk to me about that. What are you thinking with that?
Yes, I love this question. So it makes me think of this writer, thinker, brilliant father and husband that I follow, whose name is Bayo Akomolafe. And he used this word that I just keep coming back to, which is tentacular, right? To be like a tentacle. And it's like, so that's really the business model that really is exciting me right now, like to create tentacular business models. So for me, I'm really dreaming towards a studio. I really want a studio. I'm going to have a studio in Durham that's going to center like Black, queer, trans, Southern art making, right?
Yes.
And all the intersections therein. And inside of this studio, I want there to be an arm that's doing graphic novels and literary works. I want to be an arm that's doing augmented reality and virtual reality. I want there to be an arm that's doing TV and film. I want there to be an arm that's doing audio podcast work. I want there to be an arm that's doing video games. Like, and what's at the center is the ethic, right? That we are not what we do, we are how we do. Right? So as long as we are living within our ethic, which is like we center those who are like who have been ignored, like we are Southern, we are Black, we are trans, we are queer, we are disabled, we are indigenous, like we are folks of color, like we are of the land, like we are working sustainably. Yes. That is who we are. So every project that comes off of that is grounded in that. And what we do can be anything, but we are all standing together at the center with the same ethic. And then for me as a leader, it's really about talent development around like, yeah, I don't know very much about video games. I think they're cool, but I know
Mm-hmm.
that there are some folks who want to make video games from that ethic. How do I find them, resource them so that they can do their
Mm-hmm.
work and that's still part of the business, you know? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm dreaming right now, like big scale. And starting it where I am now of like really is about building really strong teams that are grounded in a shared ethic and value.
Mm. I love that, and it also makes me think, like, how did you, as an artist, become comfortable with the idea of also being a leader? Because I don't
Mm.
often see those two things combined. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, I'm the eldest child. I'm a
There you
Virgo,
go.
like Beyonce, and
Okay. The
I'm just a
queen.
born boss. No, I
I
think
mean,
I think a big part of it is like I love the. I came up as a theater kid. Like that was really my like dance and theater was my entryway into my arts practice. And um, when I realized that there was a job of a director, of the person that gets to get everyone together and tell people what to do, like where to stand and how to
mhm.
and guide them and support them. I was like, oh, I want that job. Duh. Like,
No brainer.
why would I want anything
Y'all
else?
made this
Like,
for me. That's my job.
I mean, clearly, come on. So I think so. And I was like 10 at the time. So fast forward like 20 years, 20 some years, and I think that desire to gather people around a shared vision, like, oh, we want to make a show, we want to tell a story together, and this is how we want
Mm-hmm.
to tell it. So now it's like we want to change the world. This is how we're going to
Mm.
change the world together.
Yeah.
Feels like a really for me, like it just was like, oh, and if I can do that, I can do this other thing, right?
Yeah.
And seeing the success on the small scale, and for me, I'm really driven by seeing like ripples, seeing the
Mm.
impact in my community that is not just about the performance, it's not just about the
Right.
show. Like, side note, but like literally, so there's like two mice in my house and I'm trying to get rid of right now. I live in some woodsy area, y'all.
Uh-huh.
And I called the mouse people and I'm talking to her, I schedule my mouse thing. She's like, are you Monét Marshall, the artist and activist? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I saw your show like 4 years ago, and it just really impacted me. And I'm like, wow, like thanks so much. I think I wanna I wanna do things that leave an imprint. And you can't do
Yeah.
work like that by yourself. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
So that has helped. So seeing the ripple, seeing the impact of the artistic work, it's also like,
Right.
what if we apply the same method to
Mm-hmm.
civic
Mm-hmm.
engagement, to
Mm-hmm.
climate justice, to
Yeah.
reparations, to like
Right.
what else do we do?
Right.
And can we still make it juicy and pleasurable and sexy? I think we can. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's you are the perfect intersection of art and business, because you hear about scaling and scale
Mm.
and all the iterations of that word in the startup world. I talk about that a lot at work. How can we do work at scale? But scaling art and scaling activism, like there's so many things that the business world, pretending they are silos, right?
Right.
That's not always the case, but pretending, because most people see them as that way. There's a lot of things the business world can learn from art, and that art can learn from business. And I love how you combine the two, like very seamlessly, even.
And I would be amiss if I didn't name that the confidence I feel hasn't it's been hard fought, right? Like
Mm,
it has not been easy to feel this confident about the way I want to work and what I want
mm-hmm.
to do. And I really think like COVID has been horrible and hard for everyone.
Yeah.
And the quiet and the world upending it has caused has really challenged me to be like, this is wild. So if it's gonna
Yeah.
be wild, let me get wild too. Like,
Jungle rules.
come on, like let me be wild in the direction of my biggest dream, right?
Mm,
So but it has been difficult to trust that I am a business person with good ideas, or that just because the money isn't necessarily flowing for this project, that it's not worth being funded. Because I think um, there's so many things, like you name, there's so many systems and things that can get in the way. And I do feel really grateful to be in a moment where someone else's no is not my no, right?
Right. Ooh.
So like, so like to say that just because someone says no to me doesn't mean I have to say no to myself.
Yes.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
word.
yeah.
I, yeah. Yeah. I wanna dig into some of the challenges and some of those hard fought battles a little bit, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, and positioning them as as growth opportunities. Like, what did you learn from them, and what can other people who might be in similar situations learn from them?
Oof. I think the biggest one is just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think,
Mm.
when I started my business, I was doing a lot of consulting, working on other people's projects. I was just like, I think there was something that like was stroking my ego around people wanting me to work on their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Monet, come do this. Monet, can you come do this? And it's like, okay, okay. And in the beginning, it was like, oh, this is cool. I'm self-employed. People want me to come do things. And then one,
I'm
financially, it didn't
popping.
make sense. I'm popping. Financially, it didn't make sense. And I didn't have strategy. And I wasn't actually moving forward my purpose work. Like I was like, I'm gonna
Right.
do my art over here, and then I'm gonna do my business over here. So,
Oof.
but the closer that I let those two come together, to be like, this is
Yeah.
my purpose, this is my
Yeah.
work. Like, it deserves to be funded. I'm going to find the right
Mm-hmm.
partners. And this is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
focused on, as opposed
Yeah.
to, I'm going to do this little thing and this little thing over here. So that would be one.
Mm-hmm.
I think two, building teams at the appropriate speed and time. When I
Mm-hmm.
first started, I tried to create this like arts consulting team that I actually didn't have the business to support, and I wasn't clear enough about what I needed because one, I wasn't ready to step into my own leadership.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people on the team, they were like, Monet, are we the Avengers or are we Batman and Batman's like utility belt? And I was like, I
That's
wanted us
real.
right. I wanted us to be the Avengers. Like, oh, we're the Avengers. But
Right.
sometimes we're Batman and Batman's utility belt.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready to
Yeah.
step into that because I was really afraid of who I was.
Of being
Um,
Batman.
of being Batman. Um, Sometimes the vision and the purpose can feel so big that we can like convince ourselves out of it. I think I was convincing
Yeah.
myself out of my own purpose because I was scared.
Like that you're not ready for it. You're not ready to do that, or what's the thinking there?
That I'm not ready, that my community's not ready, that if I talk to one person and they don't get it, then it must be wrong. That if certain people
Mm.
that I respect don't get it, then it must be wrong. That if I don't
Yeah.
see anyone else doing this the way I'm doing it, then I must be doing it wrong because clearly they're smarter than me and would have already
Mm.
done that thing if it was supposed to be done, right?
Mm.
Um, it's like maybe the lane is open because it was waiting for you, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
those are definitely some challenges.
Yeah,
Whew,
and I
yeah.
think a lot of the things you mentioned, a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggled with for years, like up until yesterday,
Come
this
on.
morning, not fully understanding the difference. Like I knew logically the difference between working in my business and working on my business,
Mm.
but
Hmm.
I wasn't living that for a very long time, probably until this like 2022, where I guess I just had enough. Like I work a lot, like a lot, and it's all 99% of the time client work. My internal Hey Awesome Girl projects are always the ones that get pushed to the back burner. This show, like we've been wanting to do a show. I've been wanting to do a show for years, probably a decade at this point. But I was so focused in like feeling like I was popping because people want to work with me. You know, I'm getting these contracts. Meanwhile, I know this ain't what I want to do long term. Yes,
Right.
I do love working with clients, specific types of clients, specific types of projects. But I know I want to create. I know I want to talk to women like you and hear their stories and share that with my audience. But the difference, like I said, the difference between working in your business and on your business is it's totally different. And if you can combine both of them at the same time, like that's something really, really powerful.
Oof, I would love to hear you say more about that because I think that's something that I'm still learning. Um, because I think sometimes it's also hard. And you tell me if you have the similar experience of like the dream is so big that it's like,
Mm.
should I work to be here? Or should I
Yeah.
work to like be here?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and that is so difficult because in the meantime, you still got to do payroll.
Okay. I still got some very real expenses.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this goes back. There's something you said earlier, but I definitely think it relates to our conversation about abundance. Like, I think I just like really got to the point where I realized that if I want to make money doing something, it can be done. Sorry, I'm shaking my my camera. But like there is enough from a like just a business operations perspective. I know I need X amount to keep this thing running to pay my folks. There is probably 5 times X
At
amount
least.
out there. At least. It's just be clear on what it is you want to do, and then you just ask for it and you keep asking for it and you keep asking for it, because there are enough people out there where like somebody you're gonna get a yes. So I think
Someone.
part of it too is me building a tolerance for no
Oof.
and not being afraid of the no, not being afraid of people not getting it, because there are people out there who will get it. I
Absolutely.
just wasn't willing to create that tolerance for getting no's.
You know, I think that is something that coming as an actor, being like, so I went to North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, and part of my training as an actor was learning how to be rejected.
Mm,
Just like
mm.
building up the tolerance of being like, no, 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 you didn't get the job. Nope, no,
Yep.
like just
Yep.
literally in my acting 2 class, sometimes it's just
Uh-huh.
like he would tell us, no, like I didn't like the color of your shirt, so you didn't get the job. I didn't like that, like just
I'm laughing because I literally learned this from an actor. Like
yeah.
building a tolerance for getting no's from an actor.
That's who you learn it from. If you want to learn how to get rejected, ask your actor friends. Um, but I think the thing I come back to, so I love kitschy, like BC animal sci-fi movies. There are
Uh-huh.
like 5
Not
Sharknadoes.
B, C.
No, maybe even Z. It's bad. Like if there's an animal mixed with a storm, I'm watching it. I don't care. Um, Judge your mama. So there are 5 Sharknadoes. 5 of them. They made that
5?
movie 5
I didn't know
times.
that.
Yes. So Thunder Levin, who was like the writer, first of all, the person's name is Thunder Levin. So Thunder made 5 of these movies. Okay, it got funded every time. So if they can
Oh,
make 5 Sharknadoes, whatever idea you have, I promise there's money out there to do it. There has to be.
okay. There really is that like there, especially like I've learned in the past 2 years, there's so much like hidden money out there. I wish I could explain it in a better way, but I'll give you an example of why I call it hidden money. Mostly because I didn't know about it before now. But
As a kid.
that's the spoiler alert. Like I get these emails every day because I'm like my business is certified in a couple different ways: minority owned business, woman owned business, these different things, right? So every day at like 6 o'clock, I start getting emails for like RFPs, requests for proposals, for different things, construction, graphic design, all like when I say that there are millions of dollars of requests for proposals out there for things that I get every single week. And so that means these are companies that are like, we have this money, we need to spend it, or we want to spend it with someone. It took me like seeing those things come in every single week for like the past year, 2 years, whatever, to be like, oh damn, people
That's a
really
lot of
out here.
money.
Because I didn't grow up having money. Like we didn't have money. Like only thing I knew about money growing up was there wasn't enough of it. And so reframing that narrative where it's like,
Yes.
oh shit, where there actually is
Mm-hmm.
enough money. It's just
More
we
than enough.
didn't have it or knew about it. So
Yeah.
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 And for
And I think
artists, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
you go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say for artists, and this is me like putting on my consulting hat, thinking about, we've probably talked about this before, like thinking about the value you deliver. Like it's not just like this thing, like I made this. It's so like the value is like, oh my gosh, obviously this is just something that's sitting on my desk from from someone gave me. But it's like, oh, it's pink. It's, it's engraved. It has a notepad in here. Like, this feels pretty to me. Like, put a price tag on pretty. You can make that shit up. Like, who knows what does pretty cost? Right. The value you provide as an artist it's subjective, but it's so like, I say that because what I'm trying to get at is I feel like a lot of times we need to have more of an expansive view of the value that we're providing in order to be able to take advantage of all the financial abundance that's out there, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I think it does go back to in this abundant conversation, knowing where the place of like, and I don't have to go after everything in order to be abundant. Correct. That's not abundance either. Like, if we're not resting, if we are not like finding like, oh, I'm going to be intentional about where I put my energy, what I apply to, what proposals I send out, like, and that's a personal decision. Like, we get to be in a personal decision around, I'm going to do these 5 grants a month and I'm going to reach out to these 12 people, and I'm going to be okay if then when I scroll on Instagram, I see that there were these 17 other opportunities that I didn't apply for because they may not always be for you. Right. And so I think the abundance mindset is also about telling yourself, I don't have to do everything in order to be abundant. I don't have to be everywhere. I don't have to talk to every single person. Like, actually, there's a certain level of trust that has to be in our abundance practice as artists and as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, and also that drive to apply to everything, like that's really based on a scarcity mindset. If you think about it, like you feel like you have to do this in order to acquire it. Where, if you believe that there's enough and what is meant for you, what is for you will not pass you, you don't have to do all that.
For me, I do a body check. Like, if I'm reading an application for something and my heart gets like excited, then I'm like, ooh, like if it's just like, yes, this feels like a full body from my toe to the top. Yes, then I should apply. But if I recognize, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm applying for this because I should. Like,
that should
will have you in a world of trouble. Okay, like if it's not a yes, it's a no, right? And
if
I know
it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Hell no, that's it. Adrienne Maree Brown has a quote that says, "My emphatic no makes room for my enthusiastic yes."
Ooh.
And sorry, Adrienne, but I do too. Also, because Durham has the best people. That's just what's true.
Goals for me is getting her on the show one day.
Adrienne. So yeah, I think checking in with the body too. Like, these decisions don't all have to be brain decisions. And if we're only making brain decisions, we already messed up.
Okay. Because our brain.
Be lying.
Be lying. All the time. Let's talk about we talked about abundance. Let's talk about pleasure and ease. What are you doing
Ooh.
to cultivate pleasure and ease in your life?
Ah. Okay, so I'm sitting in my office, and off to my left over here, I got this adult Lego set, and it's birds of paradise, and it looks like a potted plant. It even like moves a little bit,
Uh-huh.
like it's shaking. So one of my things is like play.
Yeah.
I love to play. I actually have like a 12-year-old inside of me that's just like I want to make things, and I want to play with Play-Doh, and I want to do the things. Um, Tonight is my first. I'm taking a pottery class. Tonight's my first
Ooh.
class. I'm very excited. Tonight at 6:30. So that's
Nice.
part of my pleasure and ease. I think really just leaning into the part of myself that wants to do things just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Love
um,
that.
and honestly, just doing whatever I want to do, hanging out with who I want to hang out with, not hanging out with who I don't want to hang out with, watching what I want to watch, singing karaoke by myself when I want to,
Okay.
um, cooking delicious meals for myself. Like my thing
Okay.
right now is if I were someone else treating me the way I treat me, would I want to date me?
Mm. I, as a single woman, I
Come on.
love that. And it also, one thing that's been like, when doors in your brain open up and you can never close them, and
Mhm.
it's like, I know I have to go through that door at some point. I'm just not quite ready to go through that door because I know it's going to change my life. So I'm a very, if people watching this don't know yet, you will know now. I'm a very like woo woo, like spiritual universe type of person. Um,
Mhm.
and I typically sort of talk to what I call my spirit team at night, get in the bed, I like meditate, I do my thing, and I typically get, messages or different things unlock in my brain then. And something that unlocked in my brain recently was the idea of being free. And I
Mhm.
think that you have said this to me about someone being a free Black woman and how people didn't like that. And
Mhm.
I believe it was you that we talked about being free Black, or someone being a free Black woman. And I've been thinking about how am I structuring my life to actually be free, and what does
Mhm.
that mean? And it made me think about my great grandmother, who I grew up with, whose grandmother was a slave.
Mhm.
And we are free, but
Mhm.
are we free?
Right.
And so for me, and so as you were talking, I'm like, oh, she's being a free Black woman. Like, she's doing what she wants when she wants it. And for me, like, that's pleasure, ease, and abundance. Those three words, they're literally on my wall. And again, the door in my brain is like, how can I really truly be a free Black woman? My great 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 grandmother's wildest dreams.
Come on. So that opens that just opens so much for me. I think for so long I thought that freedom was loud, you
Mm.
know? But I think I've realized that freedom is just so quiet. Like
Mm-hmm.
freedom is sitting on your couch and just being able like, I'm gonna sit here and crochet while I listen to this podcast.
Okay.
No one
Yes.
no one needs anything from me. And if they do, even if my email could be going on somewhere, that's not my business. It's nighttime. It's my time now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
It, like anyone needed me
Yes.
for real, like honestly. So I think letting myself be in the quiet and
Mm.
going back to that ego piece, like the opposite of having my ego
Mm-hmm.
stroked is
Mm-hmm.
being like, even if my phone does not ring, even if my email is not going off, I am just as worthy when
Mm-hmm.
no one needs me as when
Yep.
everyone is trying to like clamor for my attention.
Yep.
Like neither one of those are indicative of how worthy I am, how important I
Okay.
am, how necessary
Mm-hmm.
I am. I decide that for
Right.
myself. And I think that piece around your grandmother. So like, I grew up with my grandma, who was born in 1922. She would have been 100 years old this year, and you know, living with her and just noticing how slow she moved through her day.
Mm-hmm.
She had a big breakfast all the time. She went on trips with her friends. She had a pinochle club that she would meet with once a month. Like
Okay.
she worked until she wanted to work and then she stopped. She
Yeah.
just really lived life on her own terms. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how rare that was for a Black woman until I grew up and realized how
Mm-hmm.
many of us do not feel like we have permission to live
Mm-hmm.
our life on our own terms. And I'm like,
Yeah.
mm-mm. And I think it's good to practice now because I do want to be partnered. I
Yes.
do want to have children, and I know it
Mm-hmm.
will need to shift. My definition around that will need to shift, but doesn't mean I will have to let go. I refuse to believe
Yeah.
that the only way to be in good partnership or good motherhood in the future is to completely let
Sacrifice
go of
all.
myself. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And I do want to go back to what you said about the idea of how freedom can be quiet.
Mm,
Like that definitely speaks to me. Obviously, like I dream of, on my land, putting a tiny home on the land. And that's been like something that's been a long time coming, like me coming to terms with that. Cause I always thought the more successful I am, the more
bigger.
money or financial resources I have is like bigger, 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 louder, louder,
Right.
louder. And what's funny is I was on Instagram, which is part of my joy ritual, scrolling through Instagram, and I saw do you follow Lenny Kravitz?
No, but he has a
Okay, this
furniture line.
he did. Lenny sometimes it can be so random. I know that's a very random mention, but recently he posted on Instagram about how he was like just chilling, vacuuming his Airstream, and there was like a picture of him. He didn't even have like that nice of a vacuum, but it's like a little rug, and you know how Airstreams are. They're like so little.
Tiny.
And I
Right.
remember looking at that photo and being like, that is a free Black man. He does
Hmm.
not give a he is vacuuming his Airstream. He ain't got no shirt on. He don't care what none of y'all say. Lenny is quiet and free. Okay.
Right.
And
And
it
it's
was
not.
an inspiration for me.
I love that. Yeah, and not to go there, but I think also I like it's important for us to train ourselves to remind ourselves that abundance and freedom can also be in all the tiny small acts because climate
Yes.
change is real. And the life that we
Yes.
think we might live in 15 years, 20 years may not be it. So if our definition of abundance or freedom or success or whatever is tied
Mm-hmm.
into these things that a storm could take away, then we are yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
it.
that's real. That's so real. It is an ongoing process for me to like retrain myself because of course when you grow up not having certain things, you think
You
that,
won.
you know, oh, happiness is these things that I don't have access to, but no, you have yeah, you almost got to start over and like check in with self. Like you said, check in with your body like what actually feels good to me. And I know for me when I think about having a huge house, I want to clean all that. like I'm also a little bit OCD and paranoid. Like some I know I'm gonna be in one part of the house. Somebody could be living in the whole other part of the house. Like I don't need all that.
No,
I want
no.
to be
I'm
able to scan
horrible.
and be like, ain't nobody up in here. Okay, I'm good. That's it.
We are a generation of people who were like raised watching Lifetime movies, so we are always like,
Right.
and there's someone living underneath my house, so
Right. Low
waiting
key.
to
I
come in.
still check under my bed sometimes. I'm like,
Come on.
I don't think nobody can fit under there, but just in case.
Look, I have the ADT I can do from my phone. If I hear anything in the night, I be waking up sometimes like, oh, did I put my ADT on? Cause y'all not about to get me.
You know how
Oh,
black
y'all.
folks be like, like what? Let me check this closet
No.
before I go to sleep. Okay, I'm
Come
good.
on. Come on, closing all the doors. Like, all right, good night.
Good night. We should look. Even my dog know. Olivia know. Oh, she's shutting down the house for the night. Like she know the routine. She go to her bed. Like
Good.
yeah,
It's time. Everybody chill out.
It is time. Oh man, this is
as an entrepreneur and a business person and an artist, and I'm not gonna front like I'm not like susceptible to capitalism. Like I like nice things. I want luxury. Like I want to go on trips. I want to be on somebody's yacht. I want to, I don't want to have to go through another winter or allergy season, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But like that's true.
But that's what it looks like for you. Like you choose that.
Exactly. And and I know if all those things were to fade away, my relationships with community, like I know I want to be able to be going back to the land. Like I want to know that actually I'm gonna get more out of these seeds than I am this piece of clothing, like
yes.
There's so much yes and in all of it. So I just don't want to front like y'all not gonna see me stunting when I make it, because if it's before the revolution, I'm gonna stunt a little bit, because
I mean, two things can be true. We can like nice things and also like simple things. Simple things can be nice. So.
And luxurious. A bubble bath. Luxury.
Luxurious. Yes. I love a good bubble bath. I could talk to you all day. We probably need to do a part 2 because I feel like there's so much more we can dig into with your business and art. But for now, let's I'd love to hear what advice you would give to your younger self.
I feel like if I would be like, girl, you're queer. You don't know what that means yet, but you are. And I know that you may not think that it's important, or you might be scared, but don't be scared. Also that like queerness, not just in this way of who you love, but queerness around how to redefine. You are a redefiner. Like you do not just like take systems in the ways that they've been given to you. Like you flip them, you put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Come on. And that is queerness. And so I think if I understood that sooner and wasn't afraid of it, I think that the ways I would have moved through the world as a younger person be different. So one, sis, you're queer. It's fine. You're gonna be fine. Your parents are fine. Everybody's fine. And then I would tell myself, stop looking around and look in. Like, yes, you are going to look around, and the way that you think about things and the art you want to make and the things you want to do not fit neatly in any of these boxes, because they're not supposed to. You are not doing anything wrong. You are right on time. And there are some lessons you'll just have to learn before other things click. And that is okay. And I think thirdly, I'd be like, take a nap, because you're doing too much. Whatever you're doing too much. And when you get up from that nap, take your time and be sweet to yourself along the way. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That is beautiful. You are beautiful. Conversations with you are always delicious and educational and all the great things. Monét, thank you so much for joining me today. Where can people find you online?
My website is MonetNoelleMarshall.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Monét, MONET, is art. And I'm on very, very rarely on Twitter, but I think I might come back this year. And my Twitter is Monét_is_art. And you can also find out about my theater company at MOJOAA, MOJOAA.org.
Awesome. And we'll add links to all of those things in the description for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, Monét.
Great.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you found some nuggets of wisdom from Monét or from me. I know we talked about all things. I feel like Monét came off the bat, like with the gems So please, if you found this episode helpful, or if you think someone else would find this episode helpful, please share it. Please like it. Like, hype it up. If you find it useful, please share it into the universe. I know for me, a couple things that really stood out in this episode were getting rid of shoulds, checking in with your body when you're making decisions, incorporating play into your life. Also, like, how freedom can be quiet. Like, that is so powerful for me as someone who runs a company, and we have a pleasure, ease, and abundance framework that we really try to incorporate into everything we do. The idea that freedom and ease and abundance, like, it doesn't have to look like one thing. It can be quiet. It doesn't always have to be loud. It can be spacious. Like, figure out what that means for you. Actually, you know what? That is your homework for today. Like, what does freedom look like for you? Grab a journal, write it out, describe it. Also, start a conversation with your friends. Start a conversation with us on social media. You can find us at Hey Awesome Girls across all the networks. Share what you discover in your journaling and discovery about what freedom looks like for you. We would love to hear from you. Once again, I'm Tivi Jones, founder and CEO of Hey Awesome Girl, recording from my home office. If you don't know, Hey Awesome Girl's social mission is to celebrate and empower women, especially women of color. We believe entrepreneurship, especially digital entrepreneurship, is a resource to increase confidence, close the racial and gender wealth gaps, and provide a means of freedom for women all around the world. Because as we like to say, empowered women empower women, and that's what we're trying to achieve with this show. Stay tuned for our next episode. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm sure you will absolutely love it. In the meantime, please follow us. Please subscribe to all of our networks. Please leave a rating. Please leave a review. As I mentioned earlier, share this with someone who might find it helpful. And if you feel so inclined, please come on over to our website, heyawesomegirl.com, to join our email list and to find a lot of extra little goodies from us. But for now, I will catch you later, and don't forget to be awesome. So it's me again, just jumping back on to share a special resource with you. So I know I talk a lot about our pleasure, ease, and abundance framework that we use at Hey Awesome Girl, but maybe you aren't quite sure what that means and how you can incorporate that into your life. Well, we have a free resource for you that can help with that. It's our Pleasure, Ease, and Abundance Playbook. In this playbook, I outline the 9 elements of pleasure, ease, and abundance you need to consider to help you create a life that is fun, fabulous, and free. I walk you through journal prompts, I share resources, and give you some actionable steps you can take to get you further away from stress, exhaustion, and being broke. To download this free playbook, go to heyawesomegirl.com/framework, enter your email address, and we'll send it right over to you. That's heyawesomegirl.com/framework to download your free playbook today.
Oh my God, you been on that TikTok, girl? I'm like, how did I become this person already? I thought I had at least 7 years.
Already.
I refuse. I'm about to be like, all right, let me figure out TikTok so I can get some of my cred back.
I'm about to start just mailing letters to folks. I'm going to get off all social media. Y'all going to start getting Polaroids of my breakfast. And like, that's what we doing. And y'all be reading the letter like, she had this last week. Like, is she alive? Like, we don't know what's happening.
We're going to start training homing pigeons. Send this message to Tivi.
Right? I'm going to get the little can with the string.
Hey.
Look, it take 2 weeks for the sound to get there, but we're gonna go back.
Morse code. Do 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 do.